Welcome to the football club. Your reaction to joining us, first of all?
Oh, delighted. Delighted to be back in work and ultimately at a football club that I feel, we can take forward and have some good times at.
In terms of coming in, how quickly did this come about?
I think it's probably no secret towards the end of last week that some conversations had taken place. Ultimately, it wasn't finalised until now. But no, I got the call and asked if I would come for a chat, and I was certainly more than happy to do that. And once I spoke to the chairman, I think there seemed to be, a rapport there. I got on with him. I liked a lot of what he was saying, and feel, like I said, that it's a good fit. So I know some people at the football club as well, which I always think helps settle in. And some people, like Lee Turnbull, Russ Wilcox, that have been at the football club a long time. So I'm already started trying to pick their brains on one or two things, and I hope to build lots of good relationships with people here, not just the players, all the staff. We're all in this together. I'm sure it's been a difficult, past season for everybody concerned. Everyone's always a lot happier when the team's winning games of football, and that's how football clubs work. So hopefully we can bring some of that here.
You're obviously going to learn what the job's like from the inset, but how does it look from the outset coming in?
I see it positively. It's been relegated, so there's an air of disappointment. What we've got to try to make sure is that that's cleared away very quickly. Hopefully by a new manager coming in, an assistant, that it's a new voice, it's a fresh start for everyone. That's how it'll be viewed upon by everybody. Fans, players, and other anyone associated with Scunthorpe United. So I see it as a positive one where I hope that we can be at the right end of the table, challenging. That won't be easy. I think it'll be a very competitive league, but I'm sure as opposition we'll be looking at ourselves as one of the teams that we will be difficult, and one of the contenders. There's a lot of work to do from my point of view to get to that point, to make sure that we are, but that's what I'm here for, and I hope that we can build something special.
How beneficial is it to come in at this stage? It's not even really the close season yet, is it?
No, not quite. I mean, I maybe biased because I'm a manager, but I think it's the right thing to do from any football club. I think the longer it goes, conversations with some players will have already been taking place. Your free agents, they may end up signing somewhere, and you might miss out on someone you could have got if you haven't got a manager in place. Plus, for me, it gives me time to, just to get to know the club, get to know the people, how things work. Exactly what we have and haven't got, whether that's staff, whether that's equipment. What systems we use in terms of scouting. The GPS data, all of those things. There's a lot more work goes into being a football manager than turning up and scribbling a team down and making a few subs. So we can really get his teeth into that and look at what changes perhaps we'll make, 'cause that's natural. And again, that's not a criticism of anyone else that's been here. You just want to work the way that you do, and we'll try and make sure that everything's in place. So when we are back pre-season, we can try and hit the ground running with the players, and have a really good start to what's a new era for the club.
Where do you start personally coming into this job? Obviously the club hasn't released a retain list or anything like that. Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously speak with the chairman and some other members of staff on that, because while I've seen some of the games, it's not really for me to make too much of that call, although I'll have an input on it. So I'm in today. I'll be in at the football club at various points, but one thing I will be doing is that whether I'm here or not, I'm sure that my phone will be glued to my ear now, and that's something I've probably had a little break from, but I'm more than happy for that to be the case, because like I say, I'm back in work doing what I enjoy.
How do you assess what's here already?
I think naturally there'll be some players that I believe can be good for the squad. Others I'll have question marks over, but that I don't mean that as in question marks like negatives, but just I don't know much about them, or I haven't worked with them yet, and that's where I think they have to see that as a positive. You know, it's a fresh start for everyone, and they can come in. I haven't got favourites, and I'm not you know, what I'm trying not to do is come in with too many preconceived ideas on that. You know, I think it's very easy to, you know, straight away an easy sort of thing that people can fall into is saying, oh, you know, that he's experienced, so he must be better than that 19-year-old. If the 19-year-old impresses me and is performing well, you know, I'm not frightened to put those players into the team and into the squad. So conscious we've got the 23s as well. So, you know, over pre-season, that's something we'll have to look at in terms of who's going to train with the first team squad, who's with the 23s. But I'm sure there'll be a crossover for some of those players, you know, to begin with, and probably throughout the season. But I think that's, you know, a sign of what the club want to do, that they get in the 23s, and I think done properly. And you know, Russ is obviously there with them. They'll get some good guidance away from the first team as well. That you know, that's a positive for the football club.
You'll obviously want to bring your own players in. What kind of support will you get from the chairman?
Good, hopefully, a positive one. I think though he's been in football long enough now. I think he understands that every time he's changed their manager, they're going to, you know, naturally going to want to bring some of their own players in. Said at this moment in time, I certainly can't put a number on how many I would like to bring in. I have spoken to him and identified some areas where I think we need to strengthen, and others that I'm saying to him, I think we may well need to. But I haven't, you know, given him names yet, you know, but that will start probably as of today. As in, you know, what can we do with this player? And, you know, I'm sure some will be successful on, others we won't. Again, that's the same anywhere you go. But I don't think that the people that have worked for him would question the fact that he tries to be supportive to his managers. So I'm just hoping for more of the same on that front.
With that in mind, have you seen our players this last season and analysed them?
Yeah, I haven't gone into too much. I think overall, certainly as a group, they haven't functioned well. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been relegated. And like I said, I think I can make my mind up pretty quickly on players. But at the same time, I'm conscious of the fact I would like to stay open-minded, and, you know, if people come in and really impress, you know, it might not be changing my mind, it might be forcing my hand one way, and that I might have a conversation with someone at the football club and they might be surprised to hear that. But ultimately, it's how people perform for me now, from the point of view as in whether, you know, they've got a future here or not. And all I ask of anyone that comes is that they give everything to the football club, and they've got to be committed, they've got to be willing to work hard, you know. And I like to work, it might seem an obvious quote, but I think I want to work with good people on and off the pitch, and that's what we'll be looking to recruit, and hopefully we've got some of those at the football club already.
I'll tie that in with Chris coming in alongside you. Is that obviously someone you trust to come in alongside, and that's a no-brainer for you, I guess?
Absolutely. I spoke glowingly with him, I think, over the years, and that certainly hasn't changed. Trust is a massive part of the job when you're a manager, because I can't do everything, or I might be required to do something else. You know, I've said before, he's certainly not a yes man. We'll have disagreements. Fortunately for him, I have the final say because I'm the manager. At the same time, it's me who gets more of the criticism if it doesn't quite go right. But no, we've got a good relationship. Most of the time we are on the same page. We certainly are when it comes to, you know, the things we just spoke about, the hard work, the commitment, the dedication to the job. You know, he's he's probably watched more games than I have, and I've watched a fair few since being out of work, and that'll continue because that's what we're about. We want to try and leave as little to chance as possible. There's never ever guarantees with anything, but we do his work, and we'll try and build a good relationship with the players, but that has to be both ways. I think sometimes it's very easy for players to blame members of staff, or whether it is just the manager or both. Ultimately they play their part in it as well, and I kind of use that point as well in terms of I've heard the chairman speaking about him making some bad decisions and taking responsibility for last season, and that's not for me to comment on, but what I would say is I promise you it wasn't just him. Players have had in 46 games to try and do something about that. Members of staff, I'll speak to them, could they have done more? And ultimately what we need to do is all be pulling in the same direction, have each other's backs. I'm a big believer I treat people fairly, providing I feel that they're working and giving everything to the club, and if that's the case, then I'll get on with everyone.
Just touch on Andy Dawson there, where does he come into the plans?
I'll be speaking to Andy. I'm glad there was no thought on my part. I certainly didn't speak to Peter and say, well, Andy needs to be cleared out to create a spot. He's a big part of this football club, along with the likes of Russ and Lee, have been here a long time, and I'm sure there's others as well. So I'll have a chat with Andy. At this moment in time, there's not an absolute specific role that I've got in mind. I want to speak to him first before making any decisions on that and move forward, but I'm sure we'll have a good relationship, and he'll still be at the football club if he wants to be.
I'll speak about it and let you say it for the fifth time. Grimsby Town, obviously fierce rivals, your former club. That'll be a special couple of games, really. Yeah,
one, as I've mentioned, I think particularly for the fans. I'm not sure if we've got any Scunthorpe fans working at Grimsby. I don't know if we've got any Grimsby fans working at Scunthorpe. I suggest we might have. But no, they're going to be special games, and the biggest thing about the game is there's a lot of the build-up, and then it's the atmosphere in the grounds. And there were two games that have stayed with me in the memory, and how vibrant the ground is, and then perhaps a little bit hostile as well. So we'll look forward to them, and I've obviously got one club's badge on my shirt now, and that's who I want to see do well. But Michael will be no different over there, and it's certainly a game where if you come out on top, you're a hero for a couple of days, and maybe a little bit longer, and send people to work with the bragging rights. That's what we'll be aiming to do when they come around.
Just final thought, do you stick a target on this season at all?
I'd rather do that once I know where we're at with the squad, and because of that, what the deadline is now, that's September, and I understand the season's started by then, but overall, certainly myself and Chris know why we've come here, but ultimately it will depend on what we've inherited, as in, do we get a few nice surprises, or some of the ones that we think will be good, are they? And also if we can, bring some of his own lads in as well, then I think we'd be in a good place and can certainly look positively to the season ahead.